It's recommended to wait until your baby is at least 6 months before adding solid food into their diet, but some start as early as 4 months. You don't have to be a master in the kitchen to make your own baby food. While convenient, commercially, baby food may lose vitamins and nutrients during processing, as well as yumminess that can make your baby excited to try new foods and combination. And according to a study in 2013, babies who start eating some types of solid foods by 6 months old had a reduced risk of allergies and asthma. It's most important that the baby can sit upright and hold their head up. It's also important that they show signs of interest in solid food. Once you've gotten the okay from your child's pediatrician, you're ready to bring on baby's first food. And a few things to keep in mind when thinking about the food. First thing, you need to understand that new eaters only need about 1 to 2 tablespoons of food, so keep portions very small. Be on the lookout for allergies, especially when feeding your child's food that contains common allergens. Common allergens includes egg, peanuts, wheat, soy, fish, and shellfish. Then the newest evidence shows that it is no benefit in delaying introducing this food beyond 6 months or to introducing foods in any particular order. And most of all, don't forget to have fun, and having fun not just you but alongside your child. Hello and welcome to another fresh episode, and thank God it's Friday, it's weekend. And of course, you know, I'm always excited for weekends because it's a moment for you to always try this new recipes. And today we're going to be focusing much on babies, because most of the time we just more focused on ourselves as adults, but then you know everything good starts from a very tender age. So it is advisably that you feed your child with the right amount of food so that while they grow, you know, they grow healthy, strong, and of course they are not missing out on the vitamins and nutrients they require for growth. I am Chung Anamel Joseph, and before we go further into today's business, we're going to be taking a quick break. We'll be back shortly after the break, so stay tuned. When your baby is 4 to 6 months old, you'll want to use simple single ingredients purees. This can help you to spot and identify a food allergy or sensitivity. Once you have proven your child's tolerance to individual foods, you can try combinations to enhance flavor and likability. And first of all, you know, we're going to be looking at all the purees you can make easy, less time consuming, with simple ingredients, maybe just one ingredient, to be able to know what your baby likes and then what does your baby's body reacts to. Because at that point a child cannot speak, they cannot really explain to you what is exactly wrong with them. So as a mother, as a parent, you are to figure out what is wrong and then what the baby like and what the baby doesn't like. I know that there are some parents who are very intentional when it comes to knowing the need of their children, but overall these days we are all almost in a hurry, and sometimes maybe you want to take your child because you can get busy, or any mom that who is like a career mother, or you have businesses that you have to look out for. Maybe in the morning you want to take your child to the crèche, or they have their nanny, the nanny that literally does everything. But trust me, it's not easy, yes, but then as a mother you have to be intentional. When you figure out all those things, now it's easy for you to hand over your child, or maybe take the child to crèche, or of course the nanny taking care of the child, because you are also busy with work and all of that. Without the work, you'll not be able to provide for your children. So working is very, very important, and you're not going to neglect that for your child, and you're not going to neglect your child for the work. But then today we're going to talk about simple recipes, simple food that you can just do them in few minutes, and of course it is super healthy for your child. So starting today, we're going to be looking at banana puree. So it's often called the perfect food because bananas are rich in potassium and fiber. Bananas are also known as one of nature's own antacid and are very gentle on the stomach. Although bananas are one of the best foods for babies, be careful not to overdo it because too much bananas can cause constipation. So turning red banana into a super smooth baby food is quick and easy, which makes this banana puree baby food a great one to start with and make often as your baby explores solid food. And for the ingredients, when you're making this recipe, remember I said it's just a one ingredient thing. You just need your ripe bananas. And a ripe banana, you know, there are bananas that are ripe to a point that they're a little bit very mushy in a way, so that banana is going to be so much more easy for you to use. But then you can decide to add maybe maybe herbs and seeds, anything you want, but then it's entirely optional. But because you are starting, you want to know what your baby likes going forward, because if the baby reacts to the puree at this point, you might not know whether this is coming from the banana or from any herb, or maybe you're using cinnamon, maybe you're using any other powder, any other thing, any herb that you're using. It's almost difficult for you to know what the baby is reacting to. So advisably, just go in with just one ingredient, and then when you notice that okay, the baby likes the banana, you can try it like maybe twice and see how it works. And then later you can also add another thing. You know, you can add it bit by bit, from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4, and then how best it works. And so for the instruction, you need to slice your banana to measure out about maybe a cup or a half cup, trying to know okay the quantity at which your child can consume. So you need to add all of it to the blender, then you blend it until it's very smooth, straw to crack down and sides as needed. Then add a tiny pinch of cinnamon if you desire, but remember I advise that starting this particular process to your child, we're talking about 6 to 4 months, I won't advise you to use any other thing. Let it just be the bananas so that you see how your baby is going to react to that. And when all that is done, you can serve it immediately, because your child is already used to taking the breast milk and then maybe the normal milk they used to feed babies, you know. So but then now starting this, it might, if you're starting for the first time, trust me, it's going to be very new for the child. But because we know that babies are really curious, sometimes when an adult is eating, we could see how they are just so eager to get to that mood and then start eating as well, because it looks attractive to the eyes as well. And then they are just used to seeing plain food, and children like colors. So when they see colorful food, it's more attracting to them, more inviting than the usual breast milk they take, because and the usual milk they take as well. So when you start those particular recipes, it might not really suit the child because it's not what they are used to. But then you keep on pushing. You can do it 2-3 times. The baby will get used to it eventually, but then there are times that the baby might not like that at all. But then when you try it 2-3 times and you see that the baby is really not finding it interesting, you can just give it a break. And don't force the child to eat. It is very bad for you to force your child to eat. It is bad. There are a lot of things you can do that the baby will like. If the baby doesn't like A, trust me, you can improvise. Try different recipes, try different things. Don't just say okay, you're wasting food. You can do this thing in small quantity. There are kids, they don't really eat they're toddlers, they don't really eat much, so you can just try as much as you can different recipes to see what the baby prefers and what the baby like most. Moving on, we're going to be looking at pea puree. Now, peas are a small yet tiny source of nutrition, packing vitamin A and C, iron, protein, and calcium. If the skin of the peas makes the texture less appealing for your child, make sure to strain them to make it as smooth as possible. The serving size for baby food can vary widely based on the age and appetite of the baby, so follow baby's cue for being done. They will close their mouth or turn their head or start to fuse. End the meal when you see those things happen. So for the ingredients, you need your frozen peas. And for the instruction, you add the peas to a medium pot and cover with about an inch of water. Place on the stove over high heat, bring to a boil, then remove from the heat. Drain in a colander, add to a blender and blend smooth. So, and once it's smooth like that, you can decide to add like a cup of water or sodium-free broth to create a smooth baby food puree. Less liquid, we create a thicker puree. More liquid, we create a tinier puree, a tinier one, so you can serve or store for future meal. And then you have to make sure that it's not very thick. It should be a little bit watery in a way, because if it's too thick, the child will not really like eating it. And then when it's too watery, yes, you might get to feed the child, the time consumption will be higher. But then you should also always put in mind that they are not really aware, they're not used to that type of food. If it's too thick, it's just weird and entirely different. So you're going to start it just bit by bit. If you make it lighter today, the next day you can make it a little bit thicker and thicker and thicker, and that it goes. Before you know, your child is already eating rice, your child is already eating pounded yam, the child is already eating other solid foods. So moving on, we're going to be looking at baby brown rice cereal. I guess this brown rice cereal, they even sell them in the market, they sell them in the stores, the supermarkets. But then more health, if you want a more healthy food, you want to be sure of what you're making, is you can make this brown rice cereal even with your rice at home, and you can make it comfortably without having to even spend more money. And we know that all these things, they are just normal things that we have. The thing is that those people or those manufacturers know how to make it, and then they produce it and package it and we use it. It's not all the time that, I'm not saying it's bad, it's not bad at all. You have the money, you can buy them. But if you do not have the money, this a simple thing that you can just make it with your own rice. Okay, talking about bananas, you can just have a bunch of bananas in your house. Most of the time you buy bananas and keep. Peas are not that expensive. You can buy peas. I think now they sell peas 500, 300. I don't know about 200, but I know before there's even 100 naira peas. But then right now I know that, okay, I'm sure of 300, I'm sure of 500, I'm sure of 1,000, and you know, going up and all that. So, but then now that we're talking about the rice thing, you can use your rice and make this particular recipe. Rice cereal is one of the most common food to introduce because it's less allergic and easily digested. Mixing it to a fairly tiny texture can help babies make the transition from an all liquid diet to a more solid one. The same process can be applied to steel cut oats. So for the ingredient, you need your short grain brown rice, you need water, breast milk or formula. Then you can divide it into two and then do all the mixture together. And for the instruction, now this is particular optional. You add the rice to a pot or bowl and cover with an inch or two of water. Let it soak for 2 to 8 hours. You drain the rice in a fine mesh sieve, rinsing thoroughly, and then you add to a medium pot with water, set over high heat and bring to a boil. Reduce heat to medium and simmer for 20 to 25 minutes or until the rice is very soft and fluffy. And then you add the water and make sure that the water is fully absorbed. If the rice is not very well soft, then you can still add up water and cook a little longer. Remove from heat and cover. Let's say it for about 10 minutes. And at this point, you can store the rice in the refrigerator for 3 to 5 days in an airtight container until ready to process if desired. Add 2 cups of the rice to a blender with 1 cup water, breast milk or formula. Blend, starting on low and working up to high, adding up to an additional half or quarter cup water to make a tiny puree. Then stop the scrap down and side of the blender as needed. You can serve or store for later. And this is one of the healthiest and also the easiest because it's rice. I don't know how many people react to rice, but I don't think I've heard anyone who has allergy when it comes to eating rice. And then so rice is much more easier to work with, because you know that at the end of the day the baby is not literally going to have maybe health or medical issue when it comes to consuming the rice. And we know that rice more so it's a little bit solid. It's not as watery as the banana, or it's not as soft as the banana puree and of course the peas puree. Now the rice would introduce the child to even eating more solid food, now not the liquid itself. And then it's easy to make. It is simple, and I think it makes you not too worried about the result, the outcome of it. So I think if you don't even want to start with anything, maybe after you've done the puree, and then you want to be sure when you want to start feeding the child with solid food, instead of going for other thicker ones, you can start with the rice cereal. Moving on, we're going to be looking at baked sweet potato puree, which is also in a way a solid food for the baby. You know, once you're feeding the child is growing, and then it gets to the point where, okay, start feeding him now 7 to 9 months, 9 to 1 year, to like going forward to when the child is on, he can decide to eat what he feels like eating and calling for the food he wants to eat. Now for this, in the know, adults eat sweet potatoes for their health benefits. Sweet potatoes are loaded with vitamins, antioxidants and fiber, so it makes sense that your baby can benefit from this delicious tuber too. A simple puree with a touch of water or your baby's milk makes for a yummy and nutritious first food. And for the ingredients, the great thing about making sweet potato puree is that you don't need a ton of ingredients. All you need is your sweet potatoes, water. If steaming or boiling, then optional, you need your breast milk or formula for you to add it for an added creaminess. Then you also need cinnamon for flavor depth. Well, I say this entirely optional, and I don't advise you to even use cinnamon. But then for a child, before using any herb or any other spices, you need to maybe start with the cinnamon first, because cinnamon doesn't really have much impact like that when it comes to allergies and all of that. In fact, it helps in regulating that a whole lot. But then for a start, you shouldn't add up anything. Just make it very, very plain for the baby, and then going forward, maybe when you're making it the third time, then you can decide to add the cinnamon or any other herb you want to add. Now, how to make this sweet potato puree? You need to prepare the sweet potatoes. You start by washing the sweet potatoes. Once the sweet potatoes are clean, peel and then chop into smaller chunks. If baking, leave the sweet potatoes unpeeled and whole. Now you need to choose your cooking method as well. So if you're boiling, you place the sweet potatoes chunk in a pot of water and bring to a boil. Cook until they are fork tender, which usually takes about 15 to 20 minutes depending on the size of your chunks. Then if you're steaming, if you prefer this, you place the sweet potatoes chunk in a steaming basket over boiling water and steam until they are soft and easily pierce with a fork about 20 to 25 minutes. And for baking, it's going to be a little bit fewer steps and a lightly sweeter flavor. You can also bake the sweet potatoes. Pierce the skin of the sweet potatoes a few times with a tine of a fork, then place on a sheet tray. Pop them in a preheat oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 45 to 60 minutes, or until they are tender all the way through. Allow to cool to the touch, then peel the skin before pureeing. Puree to perfection. Once your sweet potatoes are cooked, it is time to transform them into a silky smooth puree. Transfer the cooked potatoes to a blender or food processor. Add a splash of water, breast milk or formula, and then blend until you reach your desired consistency. And moving on, we're going to be looking at avocado puree, because I know that for a couple of times I've really made emphasis on avocado because I feel it's easy, and avocado is almost like sweet. I don't know, it's sweeter and then it's just more healthy. Let me just say it that way. Now this is basically like a buttery treat. If is like, and is very, very wonderful. It has good fat. We know that avocado is packed with fat, and the fats are super healthy. So for baby food, what it does very well for that baby is this food is for the baby's brain and physical development. Plus, the creamy texture of perfectly ripe avocado is one that babies seem to love. To help prevent browning, put the avocado pit in the puree when refrigerating. And for the ingredients, you need your ripe avocados, juicy lime, and of course your salt. And for the ingredients, you need to cut the avocado in half just the usual way and carefully remove the pit. Scoop the avocado from the skin and put it into a bowl. Mash the avocado to desired consistency. For a chunkier texture, just mash with a fork. For a creamy avocado puree, toss the avocado into the blender to make the creamy puree even tinier. Then you can add either a tablespoon of breast milk or formula. Add a squeeze of lime juice to the puree to help prevent browning, and serve. Because sometimes when it's brown like that, even you as an adult, you won't even like it. It doesn't really come out good in the eyes. But then when it has this nice green color, it is much more healthy to look, and then you feel like, okay, this is good to go. So we are going to be putting a stop here today, and then one thing you need to take home, and you need to really, it needs to stick to your head, is that it is very, very important that you feed your child very well. I think I saw a video of someone trying to feed her child. Yes, she's giving the child enough food, but you can imagine just feeding your child Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday with rice and pasta and maybe just 2 sausage and all of that. And I think a lot of people try to complain that why are you feeding your child this, but fingers are not equal, and at the same time, that money that you use to make all this food, you don't have to spend so much money to make a healthy food for your child. Now, feeding your child well is very important because it helps them in their brain function while growing. It just exposes them to a whole lot of goodies when growing up, strengthening their bones, making them sharp, their eyesight. There's just so much that you need to know about feeding your child very well, and then making sure that your child eats very, very healthy. And don't forget, you have to make sure that you keep your child hydrated, and that should be like all the time. And don't forget to also hydrate yourself every day. Thank you for your time here with me on Lunch Global. I am still Chunk Annabelle Joseph. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.